Alright, hello guys, welcome back to this channel. This is Ezekiel Akimbola speaking, and in today's video we're going to be looking at how you can voluntarily strike off a company with the Corporate Affairs Commission. So let's say for instance you are carrying out a company, you have a company and you are no longer interested in doing business with that particular company, and you want to strike the company off. Previously I've made a video on how to reinstate a company that has been struck off. So in that particular video, what I did was I explained how you can reinstate an already, struck off company, how you can bring that particular company back to life, right? So I've been able to make sure that I, educate you guys on how you can make sure that this company comes back to life, right? So let's assume, for instance, in another scenario where you want to reinstate this particular company and you want to bring the company, you want to actually bring down a company, you want to make sure a company has the struck off option. So this is called the voluntary struck off. You want to carry out the voluntary struck off. Then in that kind of instance, there are processes, there are criteria your business must meet up with before it can be allowed to carry out this particular process. So without any further ado, let's go into the video where I'll be walking you through how you can carry out this particular process. So the first one we're going to be talking about is the conditions for voluntary strike off. So what are the conditions that will allow your company to be easily struck off by the CAC with your own permission? So the first thing is that your company is not carrying out any business. So for instance, you register the company and for one reason or the other you are deciding not to carry out registration with the company. So what it simply means is that you have to strike it off, and so for this particular reason you don't have to bother yourself, just carry on the striking off of that particular company. The second option is also that if you are having owing debt, for instance, so if you are owing a particular debt and you have some liabilities, you are also free to carry out a strike off, voluntary strike off of your company. Another condition would be that if you are not involved in any legal dispute, so you must not have an ongoing legal issue or legal action against you or your company, and then you feel like, oh, you want to strike the company off. No, your company must be free of any legal issues, right, before it can carry out the striking off. So based on my research, those are the conditions. And the last condition that you need to also fulfill is that your directors or members that initiate the process must be involved in the striking off. So not that, okay, I register a business and the other person is part of the business and I decide to strike off the business without the permission of the other person, right? So it must be the directors or the people involved in the inception of the business that can strike off the company, and there must be proper permission sought before that particular process is carried out. So what are the steps, by step processes to carry out the striking off? So I'm going to be walking you through different processes that you need to carry out to strike off a particular company with the CAC. So the first thing is that there must be a meeting, right? You need to hold a board meeting. Now that board meeting, the essence of the board meeting is to help you sit down with the board of directors, right? And on that board of directors, what you do is this. So during the meeting, there will be a pass of a resolution to apply for that strike off. So that letter will be submitted, and a resolution is required for the private company. So if you're a private company, you have to carry out resolution. That resolution is very important because that's what you will use to carry out the striking off of that particular company, right? So the next step after you have carried out a board meeting is to make sure that you prepare a formal letter of application. That letter of application is meant to address the Registrar General of the CAC that you are interested in, striking off this particular company with the RC number so, right? And to state that the company is not operating and request strike off. In the letter, you must give a detailed breakdown of why you are striking off the company, and this detailed breakdown will carry those reasons I've mentioned before. It's either your company is and you must be able to fulfill those conditions. It's either your company is liable, you don't have any liability or asset, you have not been carrying out business, and this process is carried out by the directors that starts the business, and all the other conditions I mentioned earlier. Another step is that you must attach all the required documents. So there are some specific documents that you need to attach together to be able to carry out this strike off process. The first one is the resolution to the strike off. The second one is the application letter. you need to apply, right? That application letter will be attached to it. The third one is the CAC cessation form. If you need it, if it's required, sometimes they will request for that. That cessation form will be filled by you, right? The fourth one is the audited account or declaration of no asset. So that means for you not to have any asset, there must be a backing to that particular claim, right? So we'll get your audited account, you check through your bank account, it will be audited, and we'll see that, oh, this guy or this business has nothing in it and it's ready for strike off. So, or you declare the asset of the company, right? You must also submit valid signatures of the company, the tax clearance of the company, optional, right? Meanwhile, I feel the audited report would also balance the tax clearance, right? So whatever is requested. So those two options are important. And finally, you must clear all outstanding annual returns. So the funniest thing is that if your company is 10 years old, right, and you want to strike it off, before you strike it off, you must activate the company. That is, you must carry out annual return filing up to date, and the up to date annual return filing will now clear you for carrying out strike off. So in the first place, I don't know why you have to strike out the company, right? So that's the process, and you must follow the process to the letter to be able to do that. The next thing is that you must submit all these documents to the CAC, and most times I will advise you to use the CAC headquarter, right, for proper and fast processing. Because you submit it at the regional or the state quarters, I don't know, I'm not sure about this statement I'm about to make, is that they will still take it over to the head office for processing, right? So the best thing is that find a way to get it to the Abuja office in Maitama, and this can be done properly to an accredited agent, right? So you can send me a message. Let's help you look into it and see how we can walk you through the whole process. So you can also use the Post-Incorporation section of the CAC portal. There are options in the Post-Incorporation portal that allows you to be able to carry out this particular process. Let me see if I can show you if the back end. So let me dash into the practical session where I will be showing you how this is carried out on the back end, right? So you see there's an option that shows you the striking off portion. So let me show you now. So you can see down below there that you are seeing the option of voluntary striking off. Voluntary striking off. Let's click on voluntary striking off. You can see that this is not allowed. You can see that option is not active on the back end, right? It's not active on the back end. It's not active. You see that it's bringing up an error. So it's not possible to strike off on the portal yet. The portal are not being activated, right? So the next thing we want to do now is to carry out let me just walk you through. So the best thing is to send it to us as an accredited agent to help you carry the process. So it's still a physical paper-based process, right? So you need to do it one-on-one. It's not something you can just carry out online just like that. So the next thing to do after you have submitted that process is to make sure you carry out since you carry out a publication, so you wait for a gazette notice. Now since you may carry out a notice in the Federal Gazette. Now after no objection in 3 months, that is after they have confirmed that okay, this company doesn't have any issue, they will then thereafter go ahead and carry out the process. So after no objection, there must not be an objection on the publication that was made concerning your company. So if that was approved, then the struck off will be initiated. Now important notice is that companies with asset liabilities will wind up, not strike off. Do you see? So if you have liability and you have assets, the process is winding off. If you saw my screen on the back end the other time, you will see where you have winding off and you have where you have struck off. Struck off is specifically for those who have no asset, no liability, no business activity, right? They are allowed to strike off, right? They are allowed to strike off. But if you have asset and liability, what you're supposed to do is to wind up. I believe that is an important information for all those watching this particular video, right? So the next thing we are going to be doing is that we are going to be going ahead to show you the final process. So the alternative for voluntary winding up is if your company has debt or asset, use the voluntary winding up like I mentioned initially, right? Under the part I think this is XV, that's about 17 of the comma, right? 17 of comma. So that is all about this particular video of how to voluntarily wind off your company, or voluntary strike off, rather. You want to strike off your business voluntarily. So don't forget, be sure of what you want to do. Is it that you want to strike off or wind off the company? So whatever the case is, you must speak with an agent or book a consultation session with us. There will be a WhatsApp link down below. Let's discuss. Let's have to understand what you want to do, so that we'll know if it's actually a strike off you want to do or a winding off of the company in total. My name is Akimbola Ezekiel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.